Have you ever been in a room where you said something you thought was perfectly obvious, maybe even brilliant, and the entire group just goes quiet? That awkward, heavy silence, the confused looks, the slight side-eye from the person who was just telling a joke. It is a strange feeling. You did not say anything offensive. You just pointed out a logical flaw or asked a question no one else considered. And in that moment, you become a problem. You become a little bit scary. That feeling, that friction, is not just social awkwardness. It is a philosophical law of the universe according to a very grumpy, very brilliant 19th century German thinker. And today we are going to explore why intelligence, real deep intelligence, is not just a gift. It is a weapon against reality itself, and it terrifies everyone who wields it and everyone who witnesses it. This is the world of Arthur Schopenhauer. To understand why smart people scare us, we need to understand the dark, chaotic engine Schopenhauer saw powering all of existence. He called it the will. Now this is not willpower. This is not a conscious decision. Schopenhauer's will is a blind, irrational, endlessly striving force. It is the raw, screaming desire at the heart of everything. The will is why plants claw toward the sun. It is why animals hunt and mate. It is the hunger in your stomach and the thirst in your throat. It is the desperate, ceaseless drive for life, for more, for survival. It is a force without a goal, a purpose without a plan. According to Schopenhauer, you, me, everyone you have ever met, we are not primarily thinking beings. We are walking, talking manifestations of this desperate, hungry will. Our bodies are its tools. Our desires are its commands. We are, at our core, not rational creatures. We are wanting creatures, and that fundamental belief changes everything. So if we are all just puppets of this frantic, needy will, what is our intellect for? What is our bright, shiny human intelligence doing in this dark, desiring machine? Schopenhauer had a brutal, simple answer. The intellect is just the employee. It is the butler, the servant, the hired hand. Its entire job is to figure out how to get what the will wants. You are hungry. Your intellect finds food. You desire companionship. Your intellect plans a social strategy. Your will wants to survive. Your intellect invents medicine and builds shelters. The intellect is a brilliant problem solver, but it takes its orders from a chaotic, unreasonable boss. For most people, this is the perfect arrangement. The intellect is a loyal servant, perfectly tuned to navigate the world of desires, to get the job done, to fit in, to succeed, to get what we want. But then something goes wrong. In a very, very rare few individuals, the servant wakes up. The intellect stops just taking orders. It looks around. It questions the boss. It examines the chaotic, pointless striving of the will and says, wait, why? Why are we doing any of this? What is the point of all this wanting, all this suffering, all this endless struggle? This, for Schopenhauer, is the birth of the genius. Not just a smart person, not just a high IQ. A genius is someone whose intellect has broken free from the service of the will. It has become a disinterested spectator, a pure eye of the world. It sees reality not as a list of things to want and obstacles to overcome, but as it truly is. And seeing reality as it truly is a terrifying, isolating, and profoundly disruptive act. Imagine you are in a massive, crowded theater watching a play. Everyone is utterly absorbed. They are laughing at the jokes, crying at the sad parts, cheering for the hero. The emotions are real. The stakes feel life and death. But you have somehow climbed up into the lighting booth. You see the ropes and the pulleys. You see the actors putting on makeup in the wings. You see the script on the floor. The magic is gone. You see the mechanics. Now try to go back down into the audience. Try to feel the panic when the villain appears. You cannot unsee what you have seen. That is the genius according to Schopenhauer. Everyone else is in the audience, driven by the will, feeling every desire and fear as ultimate reality. The genius is alone in the booth, seeing the show for the elaborate production it is. And when they try to explain the ropes and pulleys to the crying audience, they are not seen as helpful. They are seen as a weird, cold party pooper, a threat to the entire experience. This is where the fear starts. The first layer. The genius sees too much, and that deep perception is a burden. While normal intellect is focused on the practical world, navigating relationships and careers and desires, the genius is perceiving the underlying forms, the patterns, the ugly truths. Schopenhauer was heavily influenced by Plato here. The genius perceives the ideas, the eternal forms behind the fleeting shadows on the wall. They see the universal in the particular. They see the deep structure of suffering in a single heartbreak. They see the pointless cyclical nature of history in today's news. This is not a happy way to live. This is a weight. It creates a permanent sense of detachment, a loneliness that comes from understanding things others cannot or will not grasp. Their very perception sets them apart, and that gap is where suspicion grows. Now let us bring this down from philosophical abstraction to your everyday life. That person in the meeting who points out the fatal flaw in the project everyone loves. They are not trying to be difficult. They literally see the collapse happening in slow motion before anyone else. That friend who dissects the comforting lie your social group tells itself. They are not trying to hurt you. They are burdened by the truth of the situation. The artist who creates something so unsettling it makes people uncomfortable. They are holding up a mirror to the chaos of the will that we all spend our lives trying to ignore. These people are not operating on the same wavelength. Their intellect is not serving the group's will, the collective desire for comfort, for stability, for easy narratives. It is serving truth, and truth is very often an enemy of comfort. This creates what we can call the but then conflict loop of the genius. But they have this profound insight, this world-changing idea. Then they try to communicate it, but the message comes from the lighting booth, and everyone else is in the audience. Then they are met with confusion, indifference, or hostility. But they know they are right, they see it so clearly. Then they retreat into isolation, which deepens their perception further, making the next communication even harder. It is a vicious cycle. History is littered with examples. Scientists mocked, artists dying penniless, philosophers ignored. Their crime was not being wrong. Their crime was being right too early, in a way that dismantled the world everyone else had agreed to live in. So why does society, why do we as individuals react with fear and not with admiration? The first reason is simple. They break the rules of the game. And every society, every friend group, every company is built on a set of unspoken rules. These rules are not about logic. They are about managing the collective will, keeping desires in check, maintaining order. The genius, whose intellect is free, does not play by these rules. They question the sacred cows. They ignore social hierarchies based on power and desire. They are unpredictable, and nothing is more threatening to a system built on control than an unpredictable element. A truly intelligent person cannot be easily manipulated by the usual carrots and sticks of desire and fear, because they see the strings, and that makes them dangerously free. The second reason is mirror anxiety. The genius acts as a living mirror, and they reflect back a truth we do not want to see. They expose our rationalizations. They show us that our deeply held beliefs are flimsy. They reveal that our busy lives are often just a frantic dance to the tune of the will, a pursuit of desires that will never truly satisfy. It is deeply unnerving to be around someone who, just by their mode of being, suggests that your entire life is built on a fragile illusion. It is easier to call them arrogant, weird, or scary than to look into that mirror and question your own existence. Then there is the fear of the unknown. Our brains are prediction machines. We feel safe when we can predict how people will act. We understand people driven by basic desires because we share those desires. We know the script, but the genius is operating from a different script, one written in a language of pure contemplation. You cannot predict them. You cannot bond with them over shared wants. Will they laugh at this joke? Will they be offended by this tradition? Will they suddenly dismantle the core belief of this conversation? Their mind is a black box of unexpected connections, and the human brain, wired for survival, interprets the unknown as a potential threat. So we keep our distance. We ostracize. We label them as other because other is safer than unpredictable. Schopenhauer pushes this even further into genuinely dark territory. He suggests that the genius, by quieting the screaming demands of their own personal will, actually becomes less of an individual in the normal sense. They lose the fierce, selfish drive that defines everyone else. This makes them seem passive, strange, almost lifeless in everyday affairs. They are not aggressively pursuing wealth, status, or victory. Meanwhile, the average person is a concentrated bundle of will, a selfish force of nature. And when this bundle of will encounters the calm, detached intellect of the genius, it feels a deep, instinctual resentment. The genius is a walking reproach. Their mere existence is a silent statement that there is another way to be, a way that is not about wanting and taking. And that statement is intolerable to the will-driven person. It must be dismissed or destroyed. Now consider this historical pattern. It is not about individual mistakes. It is a systemic reaction. Society has a powerful immune response to the genius. Its job is to maintain the shared illusion, the collective play. The genius is a foreign body, a virus of truth, and the immune system attacks. This attack takes many forms: mockery, isolation, institutional punishment, sometimes worse. It is a natural, almost mechanical process. The system is designed to preserve itself, and the seeing eye of genius is its ultimate threat. Let us look at history through this Schopenhauerian lens. Socrates, forced to drink hemlock for corrupting the youth. What was his corruption? Asking too many questions, making the powerful of Athens look foolish by exposing the contradictions in their beliefs. His intellect was a spotlight on their ignorance, and they feared that light more than anything. Galileo, placed under house arrest for proving the earth moved around the sun. He shattered a cosmic story that made humanity the center of God's desire. He replaced a comforting, will-serving narrative with a cold, intellectual truth. Van Gogh selling maybe one painting in his lifetime. His art was not pretty. It was a raw, tumultuous expression of perception, a view from the lighting booth that was too intense, too real for the audience. In each case, society did not just disagree with them. It punished them. It feared the disruption they represented. But this is not just about history books. This plays out in schools every single day. The overly curious child who asks the question the teacher cannot answer. They are not trying to show off. They are genuinely following a thread of logic, but they disrupt the flow of the lesson. They challenge the authority of the curriculum. They are often labeled a troublemaker, a know-it-all, and pushed to the sidelines. Their intelligence is scary because it threatens the controlled order of the classroom. The system needs predictable, rule-following intellects in service of the goal of passing tests and maintaining order. A free intellect is a glitch in that system. It happens in workplaces. The innovator who points out that the company's core product is becoming obsolete. They are absolutely right, but they are threatening the entire hierarchy, the jobs, the comfortable routines built around that product. They are speaking a truth from the lighting booth, while management is deeply invested in the play's success. The messenger is often shot, or at least moved to a department where they cannot cause trouble. Their intelligence is a threat to the corporate will, which is to maintain itself, to grow, to survive. Truth is secondary. Conformity is safe. A disruptive intellect is dangerous. This leads us to a crucial and sad distinction. Society often confuses the clever with the intelligent. The truly clever person is the ultimate servant of the will. They use their sharp intellect to master the game, to climb social ladders, to accumulate wealth, to win arguments, to gain power. They are celebrated. They are on magazine covers. They are the winners. The truly intelligent person, the Schopenhauerian genius, is often terrible at this game because they see the game itself as pointless. They are not trying to win within the system of desire. They are trying to understand the system itself, and so they fail at the normal measures of success. They seem like losers to the clever, to the will-driven world. This is why the phrase mad genius exists. Their madness is just their inability to play a game they see as fundamentally absurd. So is the message just hopeless? Is the fate of the intelligent person to be forever scared and scary, isolated and feared? Schopenhauer, being Schopenhauer, does not offer a happy ending, but he does offer an escape hatch, and it is not for the faint of heart. The only solace for the genius, the only way to bear the burden of seeing, is through art, philosophy, and music. These are not luxuries. They are temporary shelters from the tyranny of the will. When a genius creates art, They are creating a permanent record of that pure, will-less perception. They are carving out a little piece of the world as seen from the lighting booth and letting others visit, if only for a moment. In contemplating great art, we ordinary people can, briefly, silence our own clamoring desires and share in that quiet, tragic perception. It is a momentary truce with the terrifying truth. Music for Schopenhauer was the highest art of all. He believed it was not an imitation of the world of ideas, but a direct copy of the will itself. It communicates the raw emotion, the striving, the joy and sorrow, without the clutter of words or images. Listening to profound music is, in a way, a safe way to experience the terrifying force of the will without being destroyed by it. It is a controlled burn. The musical genius, therefore, gives us a map to the chaos inside us all. That is a powerful, sacred, and yes, a little scary gift. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I am not a genius. I am not a Socrates or a Van Gogh. Does this apply to me? Absolutely. This is not about an elite club. This is a spectrum. We all have moments where our intellect breaks free from its servitude. Moments of pure curiosity for its own sake. Moments of shocking clarity where we see through a social pretense. Moments of artistic or scientific awe where we forget ourselves. In those moments, we touch the genius state, and we also feel the immediate social friction. That is the microdose of the genius experience. You share a deep insight with a friend and get a blank stare. You question a family tradition and cause an argument. That is the small-scale version of the fear dynamic. Your intellect stepped out of line, and the collective will push back. Understanding this changes how you see conflict. That argument might not be about the topic at all. It might be about the threat your mode of thinking represents. When someone calls you too intense, or overthinker, or negative, they are often not criticizing your conclusion. They are reacting to the uncomfortable perspective you are forcing them to consider. They are defending their own world from the disruption of your seeing. It is not personal. It is philosophical. It is the audience protecting the play. It also changes how you might see yourself if you have ever felt like an outsider, if you have ever been told you think too much. That feeling of alienation might not be a personal failing. It might be the natural consequence of an intellect that refuses to be a perfect servant. It is a sign that you are, at least sometimes, seeing the ropes and the pulleys. That is a lonely burden, but it is also a kind of calling. The key is finding your form of expression, your art, your philosophy, your music, to channel that perception and make it meaningful, even if the world is not ready to listen. But we cannot ignore the dark side of this idea. Schopenhauer's framework can be twisted. It can be used by narcissists to justify their own antisocial behavior, to claim they are persecuted geniuses when they are just rude or obnoxious. The key difference is intent and output. The true genius in Schopenhauer's sense is not trying to win. They are not trying to prove they are smarter. They are compelled by a need to perceive and express truth, beauty, or structure, often with great personal cost. The counterfeit is all about ego, about serving their own will for status disguised as intellect. The real thing creates something that outlasts them, even if it is just a new way of seeing for one other person. So where does this leave us in the modern world? A world that claims to value intelligence, innovation, and thinking different. Schopenhauer would likely say it is all a veneer. We value applied intelligence, cleverness in service of the will. We value the tech genius who creates a new app that feeds our desires for connection and validation. We are far more suspicious of the philosopher who questions whether that app is making us more alone. We celebrate the disruptive startup that breaks old industries, but we fear the sociologist who disrupts our core beliefs about society. The pattern holds. Intelligence that serves the system is rewarded. Intelligence that questions the system's foundation is scary. This creates a strange paradox for the authentically intelligent person today. The pressure to commodify your insight, to turn your perception into a product, to make your genius serve the market's will, to get out of the lonely lighting booth and get back into the audience and sell popcorn. The struggle is not just to see, but to see and remain sane, to see and find a way to live without either being destroyed by the world or selling out the purity of that vision. It is a tightrope walk over an abyss of misunderstanding. There is also the modern cult of productivity and optimization. It is the ultimate co-opting of the intellect for the will. Be smarter to get richer. Be more efficient to get more done. This is the clever servant on steroids, perfectly tuned to feed the machine of desire. The genius who questions the point of all this productivity, who asks if we are optimizing ourselves into misery, is seen as a threat to progress. They are the scary one asking the quiet, terrifying question in the room full of hustlers. In the end, Schopenhauer gives us a tragic but clarifying lens. The fear intelligent people inspire is not an accident. It is not a social glitch. It is a direct, mechanical result of a collision between two fundamentally different modes of existence. The mode of the will, blind, striving, and social, and the mode of the intellect, clear, detached, and solitary. They are oil and water. One needs illusions to function smoothly. The other exists to dissolve illusions. Put them together, and you get friction, heat, and fear. So the next time you are in that room, and you say that thing that makes everyone go quiet, you might feel that old, familiar sting of rejection. But instead of doubting yourself, consider this. That silence might not be about you being wrong. That awkwardness might be the sound of your intellect momentarily stepping out of line, glimpsing the machinery behind the play and sharing what it sees. And the fear in the room, however subtle, is the audience's instinctive, ancient reaction to a light suddenly shining where they have agreed to keep the darkness. You are not just sharing an idea. You are challenging a whole agreement about how to experience reality. And that is ultimately why intelligent people are scary. Not because they know more facts, but because they see a different world. A world not of wants and fears, but of patterns and truths. And bringing that vision into a room built on wants and fears is the most disruptive act imaginable. It is an act that forces a choice, to look up at the frightening light of the booth, or to turn back to the comforting shadows of the play. That choice, that moment of heavy silence, is where philosophy lives. And it is why that feeling, that friction you felt, will always be a part of seeing clearly in a world that prefers to look away.